I've been more attuned to that as I get older as well, because I've realized working with tons and tons of people that like ultimately the ability to stay motivated, accomplish anything really begins with your mind, right? Like one of my all-time favorite simple quotes is just like, where the mind goes, the body will follow. And it's so true, because it's like, if you don't have your shit straight upstairs, like you're probably not going to be able to get anything done around you, right?
It's just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
Hopefully
man.
Can't hear him screaming in the, in the room right now.
I can't right now, but I'm sure it's coming, but that's okay. I'm a new father myself, so I'm getting used to, like, especially creating content. It's been interesting to try to, like, battle that.
I bet.
Oh, it's nuts. Because, I mean, I try to soundproof my studio as much as I can, but it's, as you know, those baby cries, they're something special, man. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they pierce through. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It'll make you, like, rethink everything in life. You're like, why does this exist? Why is the sky blue? Like, it makes you go to a different place. It's crazy.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
How old's your little one, though?
He is almost 6 months. How about you?
Oh, nice. So relatively new. Yeah, mine's 4.
Okay. Yeah, same ballpark. Same ballpark.
Yeah. And where are you out of? I think I saw it on your profile.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, that's right. Okay. All right, cool. So it's
Yeah.
not too early over there. All right, good.
No, you're Eastern time as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Or 4 o'clock? What? 1 o'clock. See, I'm out
I
of
was
it,
gonna
dude.
say, man, I was like, wait a minute. that made me look. I was like, hold on a second. I know I'm on
Is he-
Eastern time, but
Is he in Australia? What is going on? Yeah, I've had a bunch of conference calls today with different brands. Like, one was in Australia and then one was in Cali. So, like, my
oh yeah,
my time zones are all messed up right now.
Australia is really strange, because it's like when I started dealing with anybody from Australia, I was like a day early.
That's
or
right.
late. Like they're all the way like on the other side.
Yeah.
So
It's correct. My buddy actually just got back from Australia, and he said the jet lag was just, I've never been, but he said it was absolutely insane.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. And it's always worrisome when it comes to, like, Australia, because all the videos you see and everything you hear about it, it's almost like, is it really like a cool country? Because it seems like everything can kill you, whether you're in a hotel or an Airbnb. It's like snakes, spiders. Like, I even saw one video where there's spiders
Yeah, right.
underneath the handle of cars to get
Dude,
away from the
no.
shade. So, like, they carry around, like, this mist in their pocket.
No thanks.
Yeah. So, like, anytime you're, going to, like, whatever, CVS, and you get out of CVS, even if you're going a couple minutes, they'll take the mist and they'll just spray it underneath the handle so you don't grab it. And it goes on. It's like, why would I want to?
No,
Well,
I'm not going there.
No, especially because wallet, keys, phone, like, now I got to carry around mist. No, I'm good.
Right.
It's too much. Too many pockets. But anyway, so we're recording, by the way. I just kind of get right into it. So thanks for hopping on. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be
Thanks
good.
for having me.
No, man, it's a pleasure. I'm always interested to see and to hear, rather, people in the health and wellness space, because that's most of what my podcast is about. I don't know if you saw any clips or if you look back at some stuff. But I've been doing it for about 4 years now, and I was a personal trainer prior to this, long time ago, probably a decade ago. So many things have changed since then, obviously. But like, now we're realizing that wet saunas aren't as good for you as, like, dry saunas. But, like, my health club had, like, only a wet sauna. We said dry sauna was bad for you, so it's funny how things come full circle like that. But I've always been passionate about the space, and still, talk to a lot of buddies that are still currently in it. And it's interesting because things do constantly change. So I'm always fascinated talking to people on this show, because even just going back to 3 years ago when I started the podcast and having on my buddy Chris, who was a trainer at the time, even, like, listening to that episode, things are so different even now, 3 years later. It's kind of a cool industry in that respect, but it's also kind of a challenge because there's so much bullshit out there. And it's kind of, as you know, it's kind of hard to find where to turn to. So I like having people on just to kind of talk about the space, talk about their experience, and maybe give kind of objective protocols to become just overall healthier, physically, mentally, especially mentally now, man. With social media, it's
Yeah.
like I'm late 30s. I don't know, how old are you?
35.
Okay, yeah, so I'm 38. So yeah, as we know, growing up, like we didn't have to handle and when we were 20, the type of stuff that these kids are like. I'm
Right.
terrified for my daughter. I'm going to try to do what I can to teach her the best, but unfortunately,
I know we got to think about that stuff now, right?
ugh, I never thought I would. I'd be like, just thinking about selfishly what I need to do this weekend. But now I'm like, I find myself, especially being a girl dad, like 18 years from now, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to prepare her for this. And my wife is like,
Yeah.
just worry about today. And I'm like, you're not a guy raising a daughter. You
It's
don't
different.
get this.
It's different. Yeah.
Way different. But if you can, I kind of got your cliff notes here, but I'd love to kind of get a quick little origin story of yourself. Let the listeners know what you got going on.
Yeah. Origin story. So it gets harder as I get older, right? Like it's, there's more time behind you, and things have changed so much. But it really, for me, as far as health fitness stuff goes, started back around 2008 ish, and I was a normal kid, into normal stuff, video games, rock and roll, going to school because I had to.
Right.
I really didn't think a whole lot about health or exercise or anything like that, other than the mandatory health class in 10th grade or whatever. And it was when I was 18 years old. I was a hockey player, right? So that was my exercise, that was my passion, and I was trying out for this junior team, which was basically like a collection of kids 16 to 20 that wanted to play in college or play pro, right? So
Mm-hmm.
tried out for this team. I was a smaller dude, late bloomer, classic late bloomer.
Nice.
When I was 18 and like fully grown, I was like 5'8", 135 pounds. Like you could pick me up and move me if I was in the way, right? And it just is what it is. You grow up like that, you don't think a whole lot of it. It's not like I really was yearning for more muscle at the time. It was whatever, man. I was in like the rock and roll, like metal community, and I played hockey, so whatever. But I made this team, and the coach said, "We like you, but if you're gonna actually play, like you gotta start working out. You gotta put on a little size." It's like, all right, whatever. So Bally Fitness, there's a throwback. Some
Yeah.
people will be, oh yeah, I worked out at Bally. I worked out at Bally Fitness, and the younger folks need to hear this, but the older folks will know, when you start training, man, like when you start training and you're a young man or woman, like you make progress fast, right? So all you do is have to show up. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I would go in and do like upper body one day, lower the next. I don't know. I just alternated it with my buddy.
Right.
I didn't really know what we were doing, and I got big fast. I got muscular. I could tell the difference, like when I was on the ice, and it was showing, and it helped me with hockey. So in turn, I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. And like I started eating a little better. I ordered some muscle magazines. My first magazine
you
was
went the full gambit. Yeah.
I went all in. My first magazine was a Iron Man magazine with Mike Titan O'Hearn on the cover.
Classic.
Which is funny because that dude looks exactly the same today, like 20 years later. And
TRT is amazing.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I got all into it. Was just blown away about how my body could change and how I'd feel better, because I grew up on a lot of fast food, pizza. What are we ordering tonight?
Sure.
That kind of stuff, and it tasted good. Didn't think anything of it, and then I just realized like, oh, and I thought like Subway was like a big step up, or like Chipotle. I was like, oh, now I'm eating healthy, right? Because I just improved my fast food, and it was like total transformational thing, and that's kind of what got me started. And then that's when I was, entering college, and I decided to study exercise physiology for a lot of the same reasons. Like, I love this stuff. Um, and yeah, I did undergrad in exercise physiology, graduated in 2011, and then went on to grad school, same subject matter, exercise science, graduated in 13, and started training during that time. Started training online, actually, when it was like
Yeah.
early days. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's the background.
I love it, man. No, it's a cool story. And now, are you a trainer? Are you a physical therapist?
Yeah, so I'm a trainer.
Okay.
It's funny, like what I say is it depends on the day and who I'm talking to, right? Like, when
Ah,
you run your own business, you can change your nameplate every day. So, like,
nice.
when I was in school, um, a trainer was kind of looked at as like, oh, you don't need to go to college to be a trainer. You just
Right.
like to work out, you get a certification. So, like, something that was like prestigious feeling or like more advanced was like, oh, go be a therapist or like a physiologist or whatever. So I was like, oh, well, I
Sure.
better do that because I'm going to school.
Yeah.
And when I got out of school and I applied for real jobs, right? Like, I I interviewed with a bunch of them. I worked at a therapy clinic for a little while, and I didn't like it, and I was training on the side
Mm.
as like a means to get by, and I enjoyed that. I really liked doing that. I worked with one-on-one clients, and like I said, I did some stuff online, which was with friends and family, and that was like, back then it was just over email and like text message, like, hey, here's a workout I made for you. Like, the exercises are linked to YouTube videos. Like,
Right.
let me know, we'll talk next week, let me know how it's going. So I was doing that super early, and um and yeah, so like I was on this chase to like be something more, because I thought it was like a
What you
better
had to
use of
do.
my education. Yeah, what you have to do
That's
exactly
right.
to like make good money and like do all that and have benefits and all that
Yeah.
shit. But then ultimately I just realized, like, man, I enjoy doing this. Like, people love it that I'm working with. I just went all in. I did website business cards and just started doing my own thing. So today, I guess, to answer your question, like, um, what I think best describes what I do is like online health fitness coaching.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, it's great. So you got your own company and you pretty much do everything from the laptop and then train people one on one, or you just do everything consulting over the phone, email, stuff like that, or a little
Yeah.
bit of both.
So it used to be both, and over the years, I gradually transitioned away from one on one.
Right.
Not I always enjoyed doing that, and I on occasion, still like do some of that, but for the most part, the past 6 years, I've been fully online. So
Oh, nice.
I have an app. I add clients through that, and then give them everything they need. We communicate on the app, phone, FaceTime, etc.
That's sick, dude. Yeah, I mean, because ultimately, I can't speak for every trainer, but I know when I did it the easy route. This is going back when I was 18. So, fuck, wow, that's crazy. 20 years ago. Is that right? Fuck, yeah, 20 years ago. Yikes. So I mean, Facebook was only in colleges at that point. That just to give
Right.
people perspective, how long ago that was. Like, my Facebook email was my Valencia Community College edu. Like, that was my Facebook.
Yes. Same.
So that's how long ago. But so I did it the easy route. I did the online certification thing. I worked at LA Fitness, another throwback for people. Obviously, they helped take Bally's out of business because they bought a bunch of those locations. So we kind of had like a third party company that was inside LA Fitness that was called Body of Change for a while, and then it was like four other companies. It was just a bunch of privately owned companies that would come in and buy it, and then all they require was just either an online certification or going to school, was one or the other. So I did the online thing. I think it was NFPT, if I remember correctly, National Federation for Personal Training. I want to say that's right. Ooh, I don't remember. But I did the easy route, and only because that is what was required of me. But the reason I bring that up is because every single client that I had, and it was great because we made our own schedule. So I showed up at 5 a.m. I trained people as long as I could, and it was all based off appointments. So it was per hour. Some people wouldn't show, but I get paid either way. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just get a workout in. So I was working out 3 times a day, and because I was at the gym all day, right, as you know. And it
Yep.
was great. But then ultimately, the goal that I would tell all the clients when we would sit down and get their assessment going, and whether they wanted to lower body fat or increase muscle, like whatever their goals were, we would always, the end goal, whether it was 6 months, a year, 2 years, the end goal would be, you don't need me forever. That's the end
Right.
goal. Right? Either I'm going to teach you as much as I can now so you're self-sufficient and go see someone else, or maybe go see someone that's less expensive possibly. Maybe you just go from 5 days a week to 3 days a week. Like the goal is I never see you again. Like I want to get you where you need to be so you can maintain yourself. And that to me was always the thought of like a good coach in general, not just a personal trainer, but like right now I'm a podcast coach as well. And all my clients, they're not long-term. They're 3 months, 6 months, a year, maybe, depends on how long.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually when I get them to a point where they could do it on their own, I don't need your money forever. I got, I'm like a restaurant, right? Like I don't want you to sit
Right.
down at the table the whole time and keep eating
I
my
like that.
food, right? I want you to get out so I can help more people enjoy the meal. And that's kind of how I looked at training in the past. So it's good that I think how you're doing it is the right way. And for people that maybe are a little standoffish to that, I think that's the good mentality to have is, you don't want a personal trainer forever. You should, because this is a lifestyle. And I mean, also not physical therapy, but therapy as a whole is probably another good example. That's more like I need help getting through the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a therapist for the rest of your life, I think that's healthy, right? If that's what you need. When it comes to something like extracurricular, like fitness, podcast coaching, if you want to learn how to play, chess, like eventually you want to sit down, learn how to play it, get coached on how to play it, and then eventually you just want to play chess on your own. So I think how you're doing it is the right way. You want to teach these folks what they need to do, and to have a program like you do, I think is awesome. So kudos.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's, I say the same thing, to clients or prospective clients, right? Because one thing that I have to do, as you know, is like you have to sell yourself, and that's not something that I was the most comfortable doing naturally.
Sure.
So over the years, I've kind of developed ways to speak about it that's comfortable for me, and I think it makes it frame it better for people that are entertaining getting a coach, and that's a big piece of it. That it's not meant to be a permanent thing, and really, that now that I'm thinking about it, the clients that I've had for a long time, they're not the best clients because I'm like, they're people that will typically, and you'll understand this, the ones that I have for a long time, I'm really their therapist, right?
That's right.
It transcends from training to therapy. So the ones I have had for a long time, it's like, I've debated like cutting some of them loose because it almost feels like I'm no longer serving them, at least not for the original agreement that we had. But we have more of a friendship. They're comfortable with me. But then when I look, sometimes I'm like, man, they're in the same spot they were last year. And that makes me feel shitty because I'm like, well, I'm not doing my job, but they're paying for it. So that, whole other
and they,
subject
they use you to complain about the Karens in the neighborhood and, their shitty kid school teacher, and you're exactly right. You're the therapist. That it's an expensive therapist because it's also like you have to work. If you go to a regular therapist, it might be the same price, but at least you're sitting on a cozy couch. Like I would never pay.
Yeah, right.
I would never.
I don't accept insurance. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't accept any insurance. So you're paying cash.
Yeah, fuck that. So as you have had these clients for a long time and you've seen kind of the evolution, quote unquote, evolution of this fitness industry that it's called now. Back when I was a trainer, it was like lifestyle, but now it's like the fitness industry, show your ass on Instagram and you could charge people $50 a month. So like, where do you think this thing, like what got us to where we're at now? Is it beneficial? What's happening on social media platforms? You see fitness as a whole blowing up and it's trendy, which is good, I guess. But like from a client perspective, because you've seen clients like I have 10 years ago, 20 years ago versus now, like I got a buddy that's still a trainer and he goes, bro, the hardest thing is like fucking TikTok. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, bro, half my clients on a daily basis come in and say, hey, can we do this workout? And
Right.
they show me the phone and I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, dude, but you know, she looks hot, so it must work, right?
Must work. I know.
Yeah. So like, what's your take on all that? I'd love to get your perspective.
That's a doozy. That's a doozy of a question. So
Yeah.
you opened with tell me again what you said at the beginning. You remember what you said at the beginning? Because I was like, that's good. I agree with that. As far as like comment on industry as a whole.
Oh yeah, like fitness industry, but really it's just a lifestyle, like that.
Yeah, like so going over time, I'll start here. So
Yeah.
going over time, like you kind of asked about 10, 20 years ago and working with, adults and older adults.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to do the thumbs up, by the way. I don't know why that keeps popping up.
Oh, you're good. I didn't notice. That's awesome.
Did you see it? That's probably, maybe it's just on my end.
It's fantastic.
People before understood the importance of exercise and working out on a very basic level, that they know that they needed it. They know that it's part of being healthier. It was just simpler. Right? It just in order to live longer and be healthy and all that shit. So I want to do and be here for my family. I got to take care of myself. It was just very simple.
That's right.
And as time's gone on and I've seen things change with social media and all this stuff, there's so much information available, accessible, and being spewed from millions of different avenues and sources, and micro celebrities and whatever it's called. Like it's just a minefield. It's a clusterfuck. Excuse my language. It's a mess, and that's really one reason why I kind of brand myself the way I do today. Because 10 years ago, how I branded myself was, "Hey, I'm an online trainer." Like, that's cool. That's cool, huh? And then I had to explain. Then I had to explain what that is.
Right.
Now,
it's such a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I redid my website like a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so outdated." Because I was trying to sell people on like what online training is, and like, believe it or not, like I can send you workouts. Like, dude, that's so old. Like,
yeah.
Now the people that find me and are interested in my services, they're confused as hell. And a lot of them are people that were athletes and active people to begin with. I'm not talking about like just couch potatoes, right? Like these are people that thought they knew what they were doing. And there's so much information coming from all sides and all angles, and a lot of it contradicts the other, like direct opposition. One day eggs will kill you. One day they'll save your life. Like you drink too much water, it'll kill you. But water is the best. Like it's everything. It's everything. And like I kind of brand myself now as like I'm here to simplify health and fitness. I'm here to just cut out all the BS.
Yeah.
Cut out the BS and just be like, hey, relax. Like here's what you got to focus on. And it's amazing, but it's like I'm having to like cover these basics as if it's like this crazy new thing. It's like, dude, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to. I find myself telling people, you don't have to do that so much more often than I'm telling them what you have to do, because everyone's so freaking confused. They're like, man, I'm tracking my macros and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I'm doing the triple drop sets on the, like, man, it's not that hard. Like 10, 20 years ago, people knew that like, oh, I move more. I'm less fat and I'm healthier.
For sure. Yeah.
So everything's just hard. It's just harder. This is
a pro and con that I've mentioned on the show many of times about America as a whole. Is we are so greedy, we're so innovative, and we're so like forward thinking. So many great things come from that, right? Like we wouldn't be able to go back on the moon in a couple of years if it wasn't for this type of thinking. So there's a lot of positives in the innovative and forward thinking that we have as Americans. And of course, tons of opportunity, right? Like most of the time, even if the average American is making 35, 40 grand a year, if you live below your means, you still have a great life. You're not enslaved. You can vote. It's not bad. However, with that innovation comes with a lot of issues. And one of the main issues when it comes to the fitness industry is too much information on everything. could eventually be very detrimental, not to your physical health, but also your mental health. It's a lot. I think I would even challenge to say, if there was less options with everything, I think more people would be healthier. For example, if you're driving down,
Agreed.
right, if you're driving down the main street in your city, whatever that is, and it's Main Street, USA, you're driving down there and there's 35 fast food joints. If you're hungry, you're going to pick one of those spots. That's just how it is. But if there was one grocery store that only served healthy foods, you would stop there, grab healthy foods, and cook at home because that's your only option.
Right.
But having all these options it's exciting, and there's a new restaurant, let's try it out. But we also don't think of, like, if you do that every single day and you try the new spot every single weekend and that's all you're doing, this is where it becomes like a huge issue. And that's just with food, right? Going to the grocery store now, shit. We got Publix over here, you got Kroger, wherever you are. You go into those stores and there's 75 different types of breads. Bread is only 4 ingredients. You can make it at home in less than an hour.
Yeah.
We're overcomplicating so many things, but that's because when it's just white bread, the company's like, wait a minute, white bread on one shelf doesn't take up we need to capitalize on this space because we're hungry and we want the fucking money. So we need to come out with whole grain. And then we need to come out with super seed. And then we need to come out with brown. I mean, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's how we capitalize on space, and we make it bigger and bigger. And then eventually Kroger has to get a bigger store because all these other companies are coming out with all these different. And it's like, when I go in there and all I want is zucchini and salad and carrots and fruits, but then, there's a new bread. Now I'm intrigued. And this is how 75% of the fucking population is obese. Like, people look at this and especially some of the friends I talk to that aren't as health driven as I am, and we have these conversations like, yeah, bro, it's hard, it's tough. And I go, dude, listen to yourself. You're like the jabroni on a Sunday that's complaining about working tomorrow. Like, what are we talking about here, man? Like, you're complaining about things that we made up. We made up all these things. We made up these different flavors of bread and, all this. You don't have to do it. You just, it's the temptation. And that's also
it's human nature, right?
Yeah. And we definitely thrive on it for sure. And I'd like to say it's a type of drug, right? When it comes to like food in particular, and social media, it's all the same thing. It's all that dopamine hit that we're getting from all these different foods and these girls on our feed. Like, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, don't even get me started on TikTok.
I know, dude. It's a great tool, but you got to use it the right. Just like anything else, you got to use it the right way. It's
it's hard. It's paralysis by analysis. With I guess, just to put it short, like that's what I think about when people come to me. They're so confused, and they haven't got results because no one's got. Why have like, sort of playing off your metaphor there? It's like, why have the patience to do anything for any length of time, right? Like, why even go to that, like, the restaurant you like, even if it is fast food, whatever? Why even go to that every day or every week? Because, like, curiosity. Again, it's like, well, what about all that other shit? Like, that could be better. We always want what's the best. So if you're doing an exercise program, even if you paid for it, you're gonna do it for a little while, and then, like, when you look in the mirror and you're like, well, I'm not tan and ripped yet, so this must suck. Then you're gonna jump ship and you're gonna hop on something else. You're gonna spend money for that. So it's also like it's a patience thing, and it's part of the overwhelm. There's too many damn options, and if you're not educated, like, key word, if, like, you're not, and I'm not talking school educated, I'm just saying, if you're not privy to, right, like, what's going on, you don't know any better. You don't know any better, and then you're just jumping all around, spinning your wheels, doing X, Y, and Z, wondering why it's not working. In reality, like, if anyone's stuck to anything, right? Like, people always ask, what's the best this? What's the best diet? What's the best training program? Like, dude, if you stuck to anything for any length of time, like, you would get some results.
Yeah.
But that's not the society we live in, right? It's like there needs to be a quicker fix, or otherwise, like, what's the point? It's got to be out there. I just got to find it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
got to pay for it.
It's either a quick fix or, they always think the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like when they're doing that one thing and they're like, oh, let me do this instead. Maybe that'll work. And then you end up just hopping a bunch back and forth. It's no different than getting a new iPhone, right? It's
Yeah.
they switch up the camera just a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to get it for sure. But
Guilty. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I've had in the 15 years or however long Apple's been around, I think it was like the 90s, right? 20 something year, I might have had 4 upgrades, 4 phones. So I'm not upgrading every year, but when it's a big deal, when they upgrade the camera and I'm a fucking content creator, like, of course I'm going to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I was
Business expense.
yeah, exactly. If I was an accountant, I'm not getting a new fucking iPhone, but that's we always want like, it's exciting. It's new. I think a lot of that has to do with maybe we're trying to fill the void that some of us have, which I've been in that situation as well, to where when fitness wasn't a part of my life, maybe you could relate with this, but when I got out of the fitness field for a while and I, started my own company and it was a marketing firm and, we did a lot of sales, a lot of client meetings, a lot of travel, and I just didn't have the time to work out. And of course that comes with convenience and you want to eat fast food a little bit more. And I never really gained weight, but I definitely went from like 180 pounds feeling super good about myself to like 155, and my mental health was vastly different.
Yeah.
And then eventually I sold my company and I started working for corporate America again, and I started getting back into my fitness, and that was life-changing for me. And I haven't stopped since, except for I had a surgery last year that put me out of commission for like 6 months. But even still during that time, mentally, I was just fucked and I could not get my head right. And I realized that it was because of fitness. Fitness is, I can't speak for everybody, but the aggression that you have inside that face of yours through fitness, man, it's my meditation. I'm not big into meditation.
Yeah.
I've tried, but it is like my way to release and be angry at the world. And I find when I do that, I'm not angry at my wife. I'm not angry at my friends. I'm not angry at my family. Like, I don't argue with people. When I don't work out, though, I did the math on this. It's about 5 days. If I go 5 days without working out, I get really short fused. Even sometimes now, it's at the point where I've been married with my wife almost 9 years, and she doesn't really keep track of like when I work out, because sometimes I'll just do like calisthenics in my studio or something. And she'll be like, when's the last time you worked out? And I go, why? It's like, has it been more than a week? And I go, yeah. And she's like, you're an asshole. Go work out. I go, okay. Like, she knows when I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's how short fused I am sometimes. But I think if it's not fitness, it needs to be something. If you can fill that void with something, the world is just better, in my opinion. You don't worry about all the other noise out there because you're preoccupied with dealing with yourself. I think a lot of times when we lash out at other people, or we blame people for certain things, or we blame Biden or Trump or whatever it is, it's because like inside you got something going on where you got to excrete some anger. And if everyone just focused a little bit more on their fitness, it does wonders, man. Even if it's just, getting out and walking, whatever, doing something, moving.
I agree. I agree 100%. I was just talking to somebody about that this morning, because like, again, what I do a lot of times hops over the line of mental health in a way, right? Or like therapy, and then hops back. And I've been more attuned to that as I get older as well, because I've realized working with tons and tons of people that like ultimately the ability to stay motivated, accomplish anything really begins with your mind, right? Like one of my all-time favorite simple quotes is just like, where the mind goes, the body will follow. And it's so true, because it's like, if you don't have your shit straight upstairs, like, you're probably not going to be able to get anything done around you, right? And the same could be said, no, this isn't even about fitness necessarily, but 100%. Like, and it's funny, I laugh when you said the thing about 5 days, because I've thought about that too. Like, these are the things you learn about yourself, right? Where like, as you're in your 30s, like, you really can hone in on those kinds of things that you would never think about before.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
for me, I don't like to go more than 2 days. And again, that doesn't mean like an aggressive dripping in sweat workout. That just means like I'm carving time to know in my head that I did something, that I
Yeah.
did something for me, that I exercised, I got my heart rate up. And whenever it goes more than two, there's some kind of like internal switch that's like flips to like pessimist mode. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you
dude.
suck. Like you like you suck. Or like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's this self-defeating voice that starts getting louder
No
like
question.
after that second day, right? And then once that voice kicks in and it starts chirping, man, that's hard. That's hard to turn off, and then that's easier to turn into 4 or 5, 6 days and plus.
Yeah, it's so weird how that happens. And, a lot of it I think is just routine, right? Because with anything, if you're sticking with a routine, once you get out of that routine, you feel funky. Like I was doing journaling for quite some time before my daughter was born because I thought it would like look cool. When she's 18, I could read back to like hearing that
I
journey
like
of,
that.
you know what I mean? So I ended up doing it.
I like
And
that.
then right at like 5 months, shit got so busy, as you know, the doctor appointments every week. And, we're decorating and we're doing the nursery, and I just forgot to journal. And then here she is. She popped out. I didn't even think about it that I didn't stop journaling. But just the other day, I found the journal underneath my nightstand, and I looked at it, and it was like when she was 6 months pregnant with her daughter. And I was like, shit, I stopped journaling. Like I didn't even consciously remember that I stopped. It just, a day goes by, 2 days goes by. Oh, I need a journal. 3 days goes by, 4. And then you forget.
Yeah.
And that's it. And now I'm like, I lost that moment. How cool would that have been if I just stuck to that routine? And of course, I'm going to get back to it. And even me saying this, I've been telling myself for a week I need to get back to it, and I still haven't. But, it's that routine where if you can get into something, you can do it for a long time. Problem is, I only did it for a couple months. Working out, as you know, I've been doing it since I was 18. So 20 years of this routine. And now it's like,
Right.
physically and mentally it shows. So I think if I was journaling for 15 years, after a couple weeks, I would like hate myself and say, I need to journal again.
Right.
And I think you have to have that. You have to have some type of discipline. And I think it is hard to keep with those routines. A big reason why I think we're having these conversations is because the outside influence is so, so good. I mean, there's a new show on Netflix every day. You know what I mean? Like these YouTube videos are great. I mean, there's so much cool shit to do. And then you tackle on, we're new parents now. So now your time is occupied with seeing their first smile and like hearing them go, nah, nah, nah. And you're like, oh my God, my heart. So where do you have the time to work out? And I think the answer is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it has to be like brushing your teeth. You have to do it. You're not going to stop brushing your teeth for a week because you have a kid now. You have to make the time, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's, walking around with the family, which is one thing we do 3 times a day now. We never used to walk, but now we walk 3 times a day because,
Great.
right, if I can't get in my fitness every day, I need to do something. I need to burn off this food that I'm eating because now, as you know, having a kid, your diet isn't looking too good.
No.
Pretty
Not quite
easy.
the same.
It's pretty easy just to throw back some cereal like at 8 p.m. You know what I mean? Like it's not bad.
Yeah. No,
So,
you're right. It's amazing. It's another thing I talk about a lot is like time management stuff as it relates to working out, right? Like,
that's right.
because that's everything. And I'm being challenged to put my words into action and practice what I preach more than ever, because it's easy to do that when you don't have children and maybe you're either a single guy or like, eventually I had a girlfriend and she's not my wife, but like having a kid, man, holy smokes. Like 6 months into this and I'm still getting a better handle on it. And it makes you think about what you tell people and how, and maybe how I speak to people that I know have kids. And it's like, what I've kind of thought for myself and others too is you have to be learn to be more flexible,
Mm.
because the days of, oh, I'll go to the gym from 4 to 5 because that's after work and it's before dinner. Like the days of carving blocks of time, whether it's fully planned and where it's just you and where you go to your happy place, like that, few and far between, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to be able to, like you just said, like by going for a walk with the family. That's something it's like a two bird, one stone, or sometimes there's three birds, one stone, man. It's like you have to be able to integrate
Mm-hmm.
and multitask. And the key is feel good about that, and don't think that you're slacking. Don't think
Mm.
that by doing that you're off your wagon, because as soon as you think you're off your wagon, you're off your wagon.
That's right.
So you have to be able to do these things, and you got to be able to understand that that's the new norm, and it might look totally different. Like you might have to
Yeah.
completely overhaul, upheaval, whatever that you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a major shift, and I'm not just talking about kids. I mean, um, anybody that is struggling and needs to get their ass in gear,
Yeah.
that has a time since it has a goal of any kind, that if you want it, like you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to create a new routine,
Yeah.
and you got to be a little creative sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and even when it comes to, not like you said, not just kids, but maybe you have a new job, maybe you moved a little bit farther away from your work, so now you're commuting time. Like, there's a lot of challenges you're going to run into that might hinder your fitness, but yeah, you have to find the ways. For instance, if you're like at a corporate job, try to, make sure you have a standing desk. And if not, see if your company can buy you one of those attachments that you can put on top of the desk and you can stand and, it sounds stupid, but go for a walk on your lunch break, have some type of
Yeah.
lunch where you can eat handheld. Maybe it's like a healthy BLT or something like that. And you're walking and eating a sandwich. These are,
Mm-hmm.
these are little things that you could do. And it's interesting when you talk to other people that are, especially in their 90s and 100s, where I've had the privilege of talking to some older people that are like very coherent. They sound like they're 60 and you won't believe they're 95. And the biggest secret that they tell you, and this is very true in Europe and Italy in particular, in the blue zones, if you don't know what those are, people should look that up. But all these people walk constantly. They walk after every single meal. They still drink, especially those Italians. They love their pasta, their wine, and their breads. But
Mm-hmm.
all their ingredients are ingredients that you can actually fit in the palm of your hand. 4, 5, 6 ingredients tops. They're not these
Mm-hmm.
over processed foods that you have. So if you're going to have these over processed foods and these fat, you have to make sure that you could figure out a way to implement some sort of fitness regimen into your life, because if you want the most out of this life, especially if you got kids, that's one thing that really kicked me in the stomach is I'm into my health hardcore. Probably like if you were to grab 100 of my friends, I don't even have 100 friends, but if you were to grab 100 of my friends,
just 100 of a select 100 of my friends.
just those 100. But I might be the only one that is super passionate about fitness, and I struggle.
Yeah.
That should tell you a lot, that those 99 other folks don't give a shit. And that's because they don't have that forward thinking that, we've been talking about, kind of the theme of this podcast, which is you don't do it for your looks or your abs or your spray tan. You do it because it's a lifestyle. You want to live longer. And if you have kids, you got to start thinking about this stuff. So now I'm even more like cognizant of it, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm late 30s. I'm 38. So
Yeah.
most people have their kids when they're in their 20s, right? So I'm already like shaving off 10 years of my daughter's time with me. So I need to figure out a way to live till I'm 90.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for by the time we're that age, TRT is going to be on a new level. Stem cells are going to be on a new level. So we'll probably live till we're 100
We'll
anyway.
be 130, 40. Yeah. I'm looking.
But I
something
want
like
to be
that.
I want to be a good looking 130-year-old. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Exactly.
want to be like 130 on the deathbed. So I want to be able to, play around with my great grandkids. So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing, man, is, it's, and I do find it interesting because I was looking through your page and I'm curious because we're almost at an hour. So I want to make sure I get this without taking too much of your time. Do you do any type of other extracurricular activities, whether, contrast therapy, ice plunging, saunas? Do you do any type of that stuff into your regimen, your personal regimen, anything to help your fitness?
Yeah, I do not a ton. I'm pretty basic. Like something that I do swear by, and I don't do as much as I would like for one reason or another, but it's something that like I do try to do is massage therapy,
Ooh, that's a good one.
deep tissue work in particular. I
Nice.
just think, I mean, I kind of found this through like when I was doing my hockey stuff and bodybuilding in the early days. Like you put your body through the ringer, and I'm not saying it's any type of fitness level. I mean, can benefit from something like that.
For sure.
So yeah, going and getting a good like deep tissue massage just is the thing that I can't do for myself,
Mm,
right? That truly makes a difference because we can do a lot for ourselves. Like
that's right.
yoga is something that I think about that like I never used to do, but I swear by trying to do it at least once a week now. Sometimes it's once a month, but like I feel so much better overall. I
Ooh,
notice
yeah.
right when I'm able to include that once. And if I don't do yoga and I don't do like a massage and like a 3 weeks go by, a month goes by, I'm like, man, I can just, you just feel it. You're sitting there doing work on the computer, just talking to somebody, and you're like, man, like I'm just not quite right, right? Like just
Yeah, you could
when you
tell.
move, when you move your body, when you use it, to whatever degree, like you
Yeah,
have to have that because workouts are only a part of it, right? Like
that's right.
mobility, stretching, call it what you want, therapy, just call it what you want. You have to address pliability of your joints and muscles and tissues. It's not just grinding the hell out of them and letting them rest. That's one thing. That's
Hmm.
one thing to help them prevent against strain and future workouts. But in order to just not feel like a fucking knot all the time
Yeah,
and be cognizant throughout your day of like you can't relax because your neck hurts or your back hurts. It's like
that's right.
you got to get ahead of that stuff. I don't care
Yeah,
how old you are. If I'm talking to an 18-year-old, I would tell them the same thing because that happens fast. Like
yeah, dude.
you could be out of high school for 2 3 years and you could have aches and pains and tight muscles and like you have to include something. It could be whatever. It just find that thing for you that you're like
Yeah.
that keeps me straight.
No, dude, that's a good point. I didn't even think about massage because I haven't gotten a massage in a while. But yeah, deep tissue was the way to go, especially when I was when I was training and I was working out all the time. You have to, and even especially I would even challenge to say if you don't work out, you should get more massages. In my professional
Mm-hmm.
opinion, if you're not going to do yoga or Pilates or something like that, because mobility, if you're not going to train, the cool thing with like training and actually working out with weights is naturally, if you're smart enough and do your research, you're not going to like jump on a bench and do 220 right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
You're probably going to do some incrementality when it comes to weights, and you might start with some 20s and maybe do some dumbbell press to warm up. So you're kind of getting mobility in beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
You should still stretch before and afterwards. But if you're not doing any training at all, and you're also not doing some sort of stretching or getting massages or working out those joints, bro, you're going to be 65. You're going to be hurting. You're going to be hurting
Yeah.
big time. And it's hard for people to kind of think that far ahead because, you know, Russia and China might nuke us any day. Like I get there's more going on, but it's like I always tell my friends that are like, dude, how do you have time for all this stuff? And Tony, like, how do you do it? And I go, bro, like, what if the world doesn't come to an end tomorrow? What if Florida doesn't flood because of climate change? What if we live till
Yeah.
100 and there's no issues? Don't you want to be healthier at that time? This like whole
Yeah.
YOLO mentality has really ruined a big chunk of the generation
Uh,
because they're just
yeah.
like, let me just drink every night because party, woo, fuck yeah. Like, I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, I need to get to bed at 9 p.m. because I want to work out in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
so you got to have a different mentality, especially as you get older and have kids. So in my 20s, I was reckless, but yeah, you're right though. Cause when you said, I wish I did it earlier, dude, I wish I was stretching and getting massages like in college, man. Cause I think I would be healthier now. Like I was just doing squats the other day and I forget what it
Mm-hmm.
was. I think I threw up like, I don't know, nothing crazy. It was like 175 or something like that. And I usually can rep it out without any issues. And, I usually don't increase anymore because I had surgery about a year ago. But then after like the third set, my right leg was like, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I stretched for like 20 minutes beforehand. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I thought to myself, I'm 38. That's what's going on. That's what's happening. And I'm like, fuck. It's like everything I was doing before this has led me to this moment. And it's probably the 20 years of non-stretching why my knee is now popping. So, you know, I'm gonna try to work on it, but it's, you know, it's one of those things you got to get ahead of, you know?
Yeah, you got to get ahead of it and realize too that it's never too late to, like, okay, you know, disclaimer for everyone, like we're not getting any better. Like after you start like you technically start aging at like 11, which I learned in school, and I thought it was like just like fascinating. Like, oh shit, I thought it was like at least 18 or like 24 or something. It's like, no, like once you start aging at like 11 technically, and then you like your decline kind of starts. So obviously like we're all on this ride where we're like hanging on, right? And like you just see how far you can get. So obviously like we're heading that way, but it's like, what do you want it to look like? Like you want to just crash and burn, YOLO, right? Crash and burn, or do you want to like have that be a little more chill and like just, can't see my hand on the screen, you know, like go down a little more gradual, so like you can enjoy the view, right, while you're heading down.
Do that again.
And oh yeah, there we go. It's like a mirror image on my screen too. It's like flipped. So yeah, man. I mean, because you know when you talk with older folks too, God, I mean, even as early as 30s, people start to get this mentality that it's like they missed something. It's too late. It's too late. Like, oh shit, I already didn't take care of myself in my 20s, or I already didn't take care of myself in my 30s. So it's like, well, here's what it is. So, you know, throw in the towel. Like, might as well just, you know, have a blast. So it's like, no, it's not too late. Like there's biological aging and there's chronological aging. And I believe a lot in that. And I try and educate people on the difference. I mean, easy example is you take 250. Anyone could do this exercise. It's like you take two people that are 50 years old that you know, right? Could be anybody. Could be the mailman. Could be your mother. Just like take two people that are 50. You can find one that looks like a walking corpse, and you can find one that you're like, holy shit, they look better than me. And like, I'm 35. Yeah. You can always do that, like for any age, 60, 70, 80. That's right. Tell me that's like, explain that otherwise, right? It's not just luck of the draw. Like, yes, genetics play a role in it, but like you can extend your life significantly by not feeling like it's too late. Right. Yeah. And you can really slow that decline towards super gradual, and you can be kicking ass into your, you know, and we got to always remind ourselves that, like, I'm sure, you know, you've probably had the thought of 40, right? It's like me and my buddy like turned 35 recently, and we're like, oh shit, dude, we're like legit mid 30s. We're like right next to the late 30s. Yeah. So like everyone thinks about that next, like, oh shit, I'm almost blank. It's like, yeah, just let that light a fire and just realize like that's your chronological, right? Like where are you biologically? Yeah. That's what should matter. That's what should get you psyched up.
Yeah, no, well said, dude. And that's one thing I realized especially when I hit 35, I think that was the magic number for me. My 35th birthday, I was like, shit, dude. And then it took me about 6 months of like doing the same things that I always do. And I'm like, you know, I could still throw down, you know, like me and my buddy, like I used to wrestle back in high school, and I threw him once when I was 30. I was like, dude, I'm fucking 35. Fuck you, bro. Like I feel 18, bro. So then I'm like, you know, here's a really crazy throw on your tinfoil hat. A year, we just made up. We base it off of the Earth's rotation. Mm-hmm. But like if you didn't know what a year was, like if no one explained to you what a year was, it wouldn't matter. You would just live your life as if you would live your life. And that's how the last few years, that's how I'm thinking of things now. Where it's like, it's everything's made up. Like these words are made up. 38 is made up. You know, literally the words out of our mouth, it's all made up. So no one really knows what it is. It's just what's we've been told. We've been told that the retirement age is 65. We've been told you're supposed to make 50 grand a year. We've been told you got to get married before 30. And all this shit is just it's us guessing, man. We don't know anything. You know, like when the aliens come down and abduct a few celebrities, then we'll have a nice little check and we'll be like, who gives a shit about our age? So I'm just waiting for that moment to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's not that big of a deal. And especially now I have a kid too, because that was the big thing when we were pregnant. They're like, because my wife is 35. So that was a big thing for us, is, you know, because she was quote unquote high risk, but she was fine. Baby's fine. Everything's fine. So then I really thought to myself, well, what is high risk? That's just something we were told,
right? Yeah.
You know, it's not for everybody. If you could take care of yourself, like my wife and I have, and you know, if you could be healthy, high risk is not really high risk, because she's technically like internally the body of a 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Because she's taking care of herself. So we have to kind of recondition our brain a little bit, I think, to think some of those things.
Absolutely. That tinfoil hat made me laugh. Yeah, that's it. That's a good way to take it like a step further. Like if I feel like I don't lose somebody when I get into my chronological thing, if I don't lose them, I'm gonna use that next and be like, yeah,
Please.
Really, when you think about it, and then
it's all made up.
It's like that it's all a dream, man.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, let's just grab some.
Yeah,
Let's eat some mushrooms and walk up a hill. Yeah, dude.
I like that though. I like that.
Feel free to take it, my friend. Absolutely. Well, listen, man, we're at an hour. I'd love to do a part 2 with you, but I usually try to keep things about an hour. Mainly because I'm sure, like, I don't know about your wife, but my wife is probably freaking out right now. She's like, come help me. So thanks again.
I got the nanny here today. So it's like every second is like every second counts.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I'm seeing those dollar bills rag up. I need to get out.
Right.
But let everybody know your socials, man. Of course, I'm going to link everything in the episode notes. So for people that are just listening, not watching, I'll throw Ben's info down below along with his IG. And, you know, if you want to leave your info, if people need help or consulting, website, all that jazz, feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Ben Polacco, first and last name. People probably need help on spelling the last one. So, like I said, you'll drop it in the notes. I'm mostly Instagram. Facebook to me, is just like, there's too much going on. And TikTok, I want to blow my brains out, spending more than a minute on there. So I hang out on Instagram, my website, Ben Polacco Fitness. And, I'm, you know, my thing is like, I always enjoy connecting with new people. I mean, I talked to you like 2 days ago, I think, for the first, and like, sure. Let's do it. Let's hop on a podcast. Cause I've just always learned that, you know, these kinds of connections, just, it never hurts to talk to someone new. It's like the modern equivalent of like running into someone at the grocery store and just like we don't talk in person anymore, right? Like no one wants to talk to each other in person. So the new way of connecting is like finding someone on the World Wide Web that like has some kind of similar interest, right? And then if you take 15 minutes or whatever, an hour to talk to them, like you now have like a new friend. You have someone that's a contact. You have someone that you could dial up anytime, right? You might connect with them for something work related. Maybe it's not, maybe it's personal. You never know.
Yeah.
So I do like to point out, especially the point I'm at now, where it's like, I'm not this like young, scrappy business person that's like, oh, I need clients. Like I truly enjoy being with people. So I always tell people like, hey, if you're feeling any of the stuff that I put out there or talked about, or you heard here today, like hit me up. Like I'd be happy to hop on a call. Like I always like to do just like a call to shoot the shit and just get to know you. Like I never want to sell anybody or offer anything or even talk about what I do in terms of like coaching or pricing until we've already spoken and set up a separate call, because that's cool. I don't want that to be clouding just a general connection. Like we bumped into each other at the store. I'm like, hey dude, I like your shirt. Right. Or something like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I think of it. So yeah, absolutely. And no hesitation. But yeah, man, appreciate you having me on. This is cool.
Yeah, man. No, it was a pleasure.
It was fun today.
And I would even love to, maybe next time, since we talked a little about health and wellness on this one, maybe the next one we could do about parenthood. We'll wait till like we're at a good milestone, maybe like 8 months, 10 months, something like that. And then we'll be like,
Can we
yo,
figure out
bro.
what we're doing first?
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to be able to talk about stuff. Now I'm just making a bunch of mistakes. So I want to be I'm like that new guy that's like starting to learn what kettlebells are. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Yeah.
I want to wait until like
The
I'm a pro.
kettlebells.
The kettlebells. Yeah, those kettlebells. Yeah. So we'll wait until we're actually pros and we can do some swings and shit. And then we'll we'll talk. All right, Ben, enjoy the weekend, brother.
You too. Take it easy, man.
All right, man, later on.